What if I just don't fancy it anymore? What if that spark that used to light up almost effortlessly now seems to be hiding in some far-off corner I've no idea how to reach? You're not alone, and you're not broken. What you're feeling, or not feeling, has an explanation. And more than that, it makes perfect sense. No one ever told you, did they? That part of the menopause, or even perimenopause, is looking at your desire and thinking, where the hell have you gone? But here's an uncomfortable truth hardly anyone talks about. Sexual desire doesn't vanish like magic. It doesn't evaporate. It changes. And understanding how it changes could shift everything. The first thing that usually happens is silence. When you stop wanting sex, you wonder if there's something wrong with you, but you don't talk about it. Not with your partner, not with your friends, and certainly not with yourself. Because saying it out loud feels like giving up, like closing a door for good. But it's not. It's actually an invitation to start listening to yourself again, to begin from a different place. The thing is, for years we've lived with a very narrow idea of what wanting sex looks like. That if you're not always ready, aroused, or thinking about it, then something must be broken. But what if at this stage, desire doesn't come spontaneously anymore, but rather intentionally? Let me tell you something that might sound strange, but it's true for so many women going through menopause. They don't stop wanting sex. They just access desire differently. It's no longer lightning. It's a slow burn that needs space, time, real intimacy. Sometimes it begins with a proper conversation, or with feeling safe in your own skin, or with not having to be everything for everyone and, for once, just being with yourself. Desire hasn't died, it's just waiting for new conditions to flourish. But of course, whoever taught us that? Everything we saw in films, TV shows, and magazines was about instant passion, perfect bodies, no hesitation. No one ever told us that sometimes desire hides behind routine, mental load, and relentless exhaustion. And here's another taboo. Sometimes it's not that you don't want sex, it's that you don't want that kind of sex anymore. Maybe what used to work, the dynamics that once lit your fire, just don't do it for you now. And that's not a problem. It's valuable information. Because this isn't about getting back to how things were, like following some exact recipe. It's about discovering what now feels good, what turns you on today, without guilt or comparisons. Then there's the body. And this is where many women disconnect without even realizing it. Changes in lubrication, discomfort, different sensations. All of that can make your body, which once felt familiar, seem like unknown territory. And instead of exploring the new map, many simply shut down desire altogether, as if it's all or nothing. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can rediscover your body with curiosity, not judgment. You can adapt, reinvent, find pleasure in ways you hadn't even thought of before. This isn't about forcing yourself to feel something. It's about giving yourself permission to feel something different. And let's be honest, all of this is wrapped up in emotions too. Stress, anxiety, sleepless nights, hormone swings, they all take their toll. Sometimes it's not that you don't want it. It's just that you're so utterly exhausted there's no space or energy left for connection. And that's okay. You don't have to perform in the bedroom like it's just another task on your never-ending to-do list. Sexuality in this phase doesn't follow the old rules. A lot of women feel guilty for not living up to expectations, their partners, societies, their own. But that guilt, it's a burden that doesn't belong to you. You're not failing, you're changing. You're stepping into a new way of being a woman, a new way of desiring, of connecting. And instead of fighting it, what if you started making peace with this new version of yourself? Your body isn't the enemy. Your desire isn't a faulty switch. What you need is time to listen to yourself, curiosity to explore without pressure, and a big dose of compassion. Because what's happening to you isn't strange or sad or final, it's natural. And it could be the beginning of a richer, more conscious, more you kind of sexuality than ever before. Before we continue, something important. In the description of this video, I've left a resource that could really help you through this stage. It's something several women are starting to use and are seeing real changes. If you're curious, have a look later. It might be just what you need. And since we're talking about this new kind of sexuality, more yours than ever, there's something that truly deserves your full attention, permission. Yes, that's simple. The permission not to feel like it every day. The permission to say not today without guilt, but also the permission to seek again, to explore, to try. You don't need a logical reason not to want it. And speaking of bodies, how many times have you felt like yours no longer meets the mark? That it's out of shape, out of the game, or off the market? Well, let me tell you something you'll never see in an advert. Your body doesn't need to fit any mold to be desirable. What it needs is your gaze, your acceptance, your complicity. There's nothing sexier than a woman who inhabits herself calmly, who doesn't chase an ideal but walks in her truth. Because that kind of confidence, even if it's new or fragile, is noticeable. It's felt, it's magnetic. Another thing hardly anyone talks about is how the rhythm of intimacy changes. Before, perhaps desire was electric, more immediate, impulsive. But now it asks for a different tempo. And that doesn't mean it's broken. It means you're being invited to go deeper, to linger longer, to talk before, during and after, to touch without rushing towards a result, to give yourself permission for intimacy to be a full experience, not just a quick scene. Many women discover that at this stage, sexuality becomes more emotional, more sensory, more connected to the whole body, not just one part, and that can be a revelation. If you're in a relationship, you've probably wondered whether to share what you're feeling, whether to say that you don't feel like it as often, or that you need something different. And I understand the fear of disappointing, of creating distance, of not being understood. But more often than not, what strengthens a relationship most is vulnerability, honesty, even if it comes out clumsy, even if you don't have the perfect words. Because when you don't share what's happening, you end up acting, pretending, and that is what creates distance. So even if you don't have all the answers, even if you just know something has changed, say it. Dare to be honest. Because maybe your partner also has questions, fears, desires they haven't voiced. And opening that door could change everything. And if you're on your own, maybe desire feels even further away. Because there's no one to share it with, or because you think it no longer makes sense to reconnect with it. But that's a trap, because desire isn't just something you experience in a couple. It can also be a bridge back to yourself, a way to reconnect, to feel pleasure again without needing external validation, to enjoy touch, sensation, imagination, alone, without shame, without rules. Because at the end of the day, desire begins there, with how you treat yourself. Whether or not you allow yourself to enjoy your body again as a source of pleasure, not just a machine for getting things done. And yes, there will be days when you feel nothing, and days when you want to explore everything. That emotional roller coaster is part of the process. You're not going backwards, you're learning to live yourself differently, with fewer filters, with more truth, and with a sense of pleasure that doesn't respond to anyone else's expectations, only your own voice. So if you've been thinking, what if I just don't feel like it anymore? Here's the most honest answer I can give you. Maybe you don't feel like it the way you used to. But that doesn't mean you've lost desire. It means you're stepping into a stage where desire doesn't shout. It whispers. It doesn't rush. It strolls. It doesn't aim to impress. It wants to connect. And that, my dear, is evolution. You don't have to settle for a dimmed-down sexuality. You don't have to chase a version of desire that no longer reflects who you are. What you can do, and what you deserve to do, is build an intimacy that feels like you. one that honors your pace, one rooted in what actually nourishes you now, not what you think you're supposed to like. So look at yourself in the mirror with tenderness. Listen to yourself without judgment. Speak to yourself with kindness because your desire is still there. Maybe a little hidden, maybe transformed, but it's still yours, and it's ready to come back to life, if you decide to call it.